Hey, what's up guys? So we're going to be doing a deck profile for Breaker Agents. This is going to be a budget variant because it is kind of like a budget deck essentially, and it did kind of get hit by the list, so some of the things here, I just wish Earth was at 3 really. But anyway, so let's get right into the deck, and I'll explain some of my choices, as well as name some other cards that are kind of better. Not 3 Hump Fukuda, but Tour Guide obviously is a great card, as well as Maxi. However, this deck is basically for a budget variant, and it is still a decent deck. Because I was requested to make a deck profile on it. Personally, I would play Tour Guides if you do have them. I mean, it did just get reprinted, although it still is considered kind of an expensive card, especially because you do need 3 to actually, run Tour Guide, essentially. It just makes it so much better. So let's get right into the deck profile, then I'll explain some of the choices. So we're playing 2 Shine Ball. The reason why I like 2 Shine Ball, I personally do not like to draw multiple Shine Ball. It kind of helps out just a little bit with that. But the thing is, drawing Shine Ball is not too bad, because you do have creature swaps, so you could opt to run 3. Personally, I just like 2. I just feel like when I ran 3, I just drew it all the time. It was like playing 3 Wolf in Lifetime. I just ended up drawing it all the time. Although with Wolf you get to mill it too. But yeah, I ended up drawing Shine Ball so often when I was playing 3. So because I feel like you just need to make a gotchi, and then then you don't really need the other Shine Ball. I mean, you could pay another 500 special summon defense, have another thing to block with. It's okay. But yeah, personally, I just like 2 Shine Ball. And then probably one of the best cards, especially in this format, because if you look at the format right now, it's Chaos Dragons and Dino Rabbit. Those are really popular decks. Like Inzectors, this doesn't really do anything against Inzectors. But the thing is, Christia just hurts so many decks. If you can just go summon Christia like early on, and your opponent's like, oh, I don't have any answers to that. Like, it's just Raikou and that's it. And so like they can Raikou, and then I mean, you'll just top deck Christia, and then you can go through the play again. Like, it's just really good. Next up, we're playing Blacklisted Soldier, pretty self-explanatory, and it wouldn't be Breaker Agents without the triple Breaker. He definitely helps out, because what he allows you to do is, he allows you to get a summon off even when your opponent has a warning, because let's say your opponent has a warning, if you summon Breaker, they're probably not going to warn you, because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to pay 2,000 life, because, like, especially if they okay, a great example is, let's say they have Light Pulsar on the field, and they have 1 back row, and you go Summon Breaker, and you activate the effect to destroy the back row, which would be Solemn Warning or Mystic, whatever it would be. And they're usually like, oh, that's fine, because I still have my Light Pulsar. But then you creature swap, and then they're in a position where they've lost the back row, and they've lost their monster, essentially, because you're going to be taking their monster, and obviously you can run over your own Breaker, because Breaker is relatively low after the effect is used, so he's 1600. And it just also helps against Dark Wolves, because if they don't have skill drain out, you still get the pop 1. But the most important thing is taking their Grappa. If you take their Grappa early on and they don't have another Grappa, it really hurts them, because first of all, they need Grappa in the graveyard to be able to summon it, and on top of that, you're taking one of their Graffas away, so it takes away from their graveyard essentially as well. So it really just helps out with that, and it's just great against a lot of other things, like if Dino Rabbit makes like a Dolka, you can just go creature swap, you can summon Shine Ball, and then creature swap. Like, they probably won't like warning that, and the only thing is really Solemn Judgment. That's the only thing. Once I summoned a Maxi and I creature swapped, and the person Solemn Judgmented. It was kind of funny, but yeah, creature swap definitely a very awesome card. Next up, playing Dark Arm, because basically this is very viable with Tour Guide, but I mean, you're still playing Tragodia, you're playing Sangan to search out other cards like Marshmallow to stall for you. I personally find Dark Arm a lot more useful when you're playing like Tour Guides, so you might want to take this out and swap it in for something else, perhaps, if you're not going to play Tour Guides. But if you're playing Tour Guides, Dark Arm is definitely a great card. Next up, 3 effect failure, because there is no traps. I just like to keep the way the deck's running. I do like it with no traps. It's not necessary, although again, like, you can take out Dark Arm, maybe throw some you can throw maybe Mirror Force. Probably Bottomless would be better over Deep Prison, or Solemn Warning, whatever you prefer. Next up, Birdman, Gores. These are all pretty self-explanatory. Arcanite Magician comes out a lot in this deck, because you can drop a Tragodia or Marshmallow and will survive, and you go Summon Breaker, and then you return either Marshmallow, or you can return Tragodia, or you can return Gores, and then you get to Special Summon Arcanite, and you get to pop 2 cards. So pretty good stuff over there. Very useful effect, because after you go for that play, you drop your Cursia and you pretty much win, because you've popped 3 cards, because remember, Breaker pops 1, Arcanite pops 2, so that's pop 3 essentially, and then you can just go, okay, summon my Christia. And then at that point, your opponent is in a really bad spot, because you pretty much, maintain a lot of control over the field, and you have, a monster where it shuts down some decks. Two marshmallows here, because that hurts Dino Rabbit a lot, and as well as Chaos Dragons, actually. It's kind of funny because I was playing this deck against Chaos Dragons, and it sat there for 4 turns, and then eventually I just drew into 2 Hyperion, and I didn't really care about his Light Pulse, so I just kind of blew up everything again and again, and just went for game. It's pretty good. So, and Marshmallow's also Fairy, so it helps out. Plus it's 3, so you can go for any of the 3 Exceeds that you wish to go for. Then 3 Hyperion. You could opt to drop one of these, to be honest. I think 2 might be enough. But the thing is, I wanted to play 3 because I'm playing Jupiter. I don't really like this card too much. It has an okay effect sometimes if you need it. But generally, I don't like this. And then there's one Maxine here, but again, you might want to take a set, maybe put in some bottomlesses. Or you can even main deck this card, because who's not playing Tour Guide right now? And you can just hit all the Tour Guides. So I think that would be a pretty good option there. Then Sangan searches out Earth, and Earth really is, like, it helps the deck out so much. I wish they put Earth to 2 and maybe like Hyperion to 1, because without Earth, the deck loses so much consistency, and it can get really stacky, because if you open up with Earth, like, you're still perfectly fine. Or if you just have your Venus, you're fine. Pretty much if you open up with Venus or like Earth, you're pretty much fine. Like, it doesn't really hurt the deck. But if you open up and you don't have any of these agents and you have Hyperions for a while, it does hurt. And then we're playing 2 traps just because there's no traps, because didn't really want to play any traps. I like how the deck runs. It runs really smooth. It runs lots of cards in your hand, so Trigodia works perfectly. And the way that I like to run the deck is just go super aggressive. You'll have a large hand size, and when you need to make your move, you'll have a large hand to just keep on pushing, because if you put out warnings, you have another monster, because if you summon, like, a Breaker, you pretty much force. It's kind of like the whole, like, idea behind Chaos Dragons. If you summon Lila, you get that 3+1 of popping a card without them warning. But if they want a warning, by all means, that's fine. You have cards like Christie, Black Soldier, Hyperion. You have a lot of great other cards you can just drop right after you get your other summon out. And on top of that, creature swap definitely pretty good. So yeah, 3 creature swap just because it's creature swap. But keep in mind, Trigodia also helps with that whole Arcanite play. I make Arcanite so often in this deck, and people are just like, what, Arcanite? Agents? It's pretty awesome. But yeah, it helps out a lot. But yeah, don't forget you can copy levels. That does help out sometimes in the right situations. Next up, 3 creature swappers, because it's so good with Breaker, really. Or if you need to with Shine Ball, you can do it with that. Then we're playing Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, Reborn, pretty standard. Mind Control is very great as well, just because you can take their stuff and then summon a Veiler or a Birdman, and then just go for an Exceed. Then 3 Duality just help with that consistency, because remember, Earth is very important. Whenever you have the chance to add Earth with Duality, most of the time I will do it if I don't have a Venus. Like, it really helps out, like Earth to Venus. Like, if they Veiler this, it's not the end of the world. Like, they're down a Veiler, and there's so many other better cards that they could hit, like, Christia, Get Back Honest, like, that's pretty good. Like, Christia is so good. It's still, I would say, one of the best things that's kind of like meta, but it hurts a lot of decks. Like, if you get this out early on, like, there's a few people running like Valhalla and go Christia, and then some people just quit immediately because, like, they're like, oh, I can't deal with that, like, ever, because it's got huge attack and it just comes back every turn. So Christia is pretty good, and there's some times where I've tributed the Venus, because I'll go Venus, Shine Balls, and then go for Gotchi, and I'll just tribute both to get out Christia if I already have another Fairy in the grave, and then they have to deal with the Christia sometimes. And some decks just can't deal with it. Like, Chaos Dragons is a deck that really can't deal with it. It hurts them pretty much. And then playing Dark, like, these 2 last cards are kind of optional. You can play maybe like Thunder King if you want. Maybe you can play, I don't think Mystic Tomato would be too good in here. But yeah, so as far as extra deck, keep this in here. I'll just show you the cards that you might not be playing. Like, these 2 are really important, and then the rest is pretty standard. I'll just go through them real quick. So you got Catastor, and then it's like Wyvern, Arcanite, Black Rose, Bryo, Mistworm, Orient, Scrap, Stardust, Gotchi, Levier, Leviathan, Acid Golem, I make that a lot. Utopia, and Zimmies. Pretty much, like, Gotchi is the most important thing, though. You could opt to play double Gotchi. I just kind of, since I only play 2 Shine Ball, I can only basically go for 1 Gotchi. But if you can make double Gotchis, by all means, play the other Shine Ball if you like the consistency of that. Yeah, so this has been the deck profile for the Breaker Agents, the budget variant. But if I was honestly to play this deck seriously, I would definitely play Tour Guide hands down. Like, no question about it. It just makes the deck way more consistent. And on top of that, you have access to Exceeds to, like, do whatever you need to do. and you have access to Zenmains, which can help you stall. I mean, you can play a Spirit Reaper instead of this if you want, and then you'll have such a good matchup against a lot of different decks because, Dino Rabbit, Marshmallow's a problem, as well as Spirit Reaper, as you guys know. But yeah, so this has been the deck profile, as well as, Maxis, don't forget those. So if you're playing this in Dueling Network, maybe you want to just add Maxis, but if you're making real life, you don't have access to them, by all means, maybe Thunder King, there's a whole bunch of options, but, yeah, so this has been the deck profile for the Breaker Agents that I was playing a while ago. Thanks for watching, guys. Asian Eyes White Dragon, signing out.